Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rhodey and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day and welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian Fishing Podcast, episode 141. Dizzy, welcome aboard.
Mate, it is great to be here. We've got a big episode lined up for you. We've got Jamie Crawford on again, which we're very much looking forward to having a chat with him later on.
Yes, Diz, can't wait to hear all things Port Lincoln fishing, and there's a lot happening over there. There's always plenty of fish to be had. But we'll get into that in a minute, Diz. What about your oranges and lemons?
Yeah, we should get into them, Brody. I'm going to kick off the oranges front with the fact that I'm going on holiday shortly.
Yep, tell us where you're going, what rods are you taking, what are you targeting?
We're going...
I assume this is a fishing trip.
We're going on a pseudo fishing trip. We're going up to Sandstone Point, actually.
Yeah, so you did tell me this. Where is this? Are we talking Queensland?
It's in Queensland. It's about 45 minutes north of Brisbane. It's
So what's that? Sunshine Coast or not quite?
It's not quite to the Sunshine Coast.
Halfway between Brisbane and Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, probably.
So you fly to Brisbane and drive up, do you?
Fly to Brisbane, hire a car, drive up, got the rods in the car. Think me and Ned might go out and flick a few soft plastics for some flatties.
Beautiful.
Show the town what South Australian fishing's got to offer.
Yeah. Have to go
in terms of talent, of course.
Have to go like 2,000 k's away to find some fish around here, Diz.
True. What's your orange?
Diz, last week I was getting a little dressed for childcare, and she pulled out her fishing shirt and said, "Oh, what do you think?" And I was like, "Go for it, Lil. Absolutely go for it." And it was a Thursday, so now I've indoctrinated your son.
Yeah.
And it's now a thing. It's called Fishing Shirt Thursday. It's taken over the whole childcare centre. At the moment, it's just two of them. But I reckon another month and we'll have the whole childcare wearing fishing shirts on Thursdays.
Yeah, I do. I really do think that Leo's enforcement of the Fishing Shirt Thursday will lead to the majority of the centre.
She wanted me to wear...
It'll either lead to that or it'll lead to Leo and Ned getting expelled.
She wanted me to wear a fishing shirt to work this morning.
Fair enough.
And we watched iFish while she ate breakfast. So it's been a good day in our house.
Okay, that works. That's good. All right, Rhodey, what's the lemon then?
Dizzy, I'm officially dry of fish in my freezer.
Yeah, that's flat, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Diz. We could blame the Algal Bloom, and that's probably played a little bit of a part. We probably haven't been fishing as much lately because of that, but we probably had a bit of a dry spell before that as well.
Yeah.
I normally have at least a couple of packs of whiting, maybe some garfish, maybe some squid, but we're pretty much out.
Yeah, that's flattening. That's not good at all.
But I could look at that as a positive and say it's all the more reason to go fishing. So I'm gonna turn a negative into a positive and say let's.
That's not a bad mandarin.
Let's wait to the fishing report and see where they're biting, and I'm gonna go get some.
Good stuff. Well, my lemon has been just exceptionally jealous that we're not over at AFTA.
Oh, why? We said this last year. Why don't we just go?
I know. Seriously, looks like just it's kind of tackle stores on steroids, all the latest and greatest. Anyone that you want to see, speak to are all there. And, of course, we've been following very closely the Shimano stand. That looks pretty elite, Rhodey.
Yes, it does, Diz. And I saw the sport fishing scene crew are up there and they were sharing a lot of the new Shimano gear. And we're going to feature a bit of it later on in our tackle item of the week, Diz.
Good call, mate.
What have you picked out from the? You've been scrolling through all the social media and you picked out something for us.
Yeah, we've picked out a product that all you listeners out there are going to absolutely love. Rhodey, the social media, the Boomeranker video is going well.
Yeah, so we did a bit of filming for Duncan, who's a great guy. So we've done a couple of videos for Duncan from Boomerankers talking about the new product that we got our hands on, and it's really a revolutionary item, Diz. We have touched on it as our tackle item in the past, but we'll quickly tell you again. So it's the anchor that doesn't get stuck, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's got a wonderful mechanism within it, which basically due to the shear pin in there that holds the prongs in place, that when you put enough pressure on that shear pin goes, all those prongs come straight out and you'll get your anchor back every time.
Yeah, and what about my use of toothpicks in the video? That was a Steven Spielberg piece of filmography.
It wasn't too bad.
Instead of the pin, we put some toothpicks through, and that was our demo.
Yeah, we should have put a shear pin in and see whether your guns are really any good, mate.
Give me a couple of beers of liquid courage. I'll give it a whirl.
Good stuff. All right, Rody. Well, let's get stuck into the news.
Rody and Diz have been searching far and wide to bring you the latest news across all fishing in the state, and will give you the rundown on what you need to know.
Righto, Rody, we're going to rip through, I guess, some of the latest about the algal bloom. We don't want to spend too much time on this. We are certainly very cognizant of the fact about how devastating this algal bloom has been for certain sectors, the fishing community, and people more broadly, because it is very unfortunate seeing everything that's happening. But PIRS's update as of today has been around some of the dolphin deaths, some of the levels that have been identified in West Lakes as dropping.
Yeah, that's good. Let's look at the positives, Diz.
Which is good. The coastline levels have been the same. Wonder whether that was pre or post the latest. It was wild on Tuesday, the weather.
And it's supposed to be pretty ugly this weekend, I think, too.
I think it is. And we've sort of obviously focused on some of those conversations we had with Faith Coleman, who we had on the show. I don't know how long ago that would be, Rody, at least a couple of months probably, but she was sort of saying we really need some of that nasty, cold, wet, wild, windy weather to happen, and we've definitely had a bit of it.
We have, Diz, but it hasn't really done what we had hoped. But there was an update today, so authorities have got out there and is it Susan Close, is that right?
Yeah.
And I think Primary Industries Minister Claire Scriven was involved, and PIRSA Professor Meady Dorowdy. They fronted the media today. I did catch a little bit of it, Diz. They mentioned, as you said, West Lakes, the numbers have fallen. It says next week, they said that next week South Australia will brief all states and territories as well as the Commonwealth. So it's sort of becoming more of a federal issue. And it also said, Diz, that dolphin apparently died of starvation and not from the algal bloom.
Oh, that's sad.
So believe what you like about that, but who knows? It did also, that comes on the back of a bit of news earlier in the week. So there's been $28 million of funding. So that's $14 million from the federal government, and that was matched by the state government, and that's going into a range of things. A fair bit of it was for monitoring, I think, Diz.
Yeah, I think a fair bit of it is planned to go, although they have made acknowledgement that there's still the finer details to be worked through about how they're going to spend it. But a lot of it's going to be on cleanup, and a lot of it is also going to be on research.
Yeah, and then there were some grants available as well, Diz, I think, for small business and things that are affected. So you'd sort of think the commercials, the charter boats, the hopefully tackle stores, all those sort of businesses can get involved in that, but that hasn't been finalised, I think, Diz.
Yep, that's exactly right. Rody, PIRSA have said that eating the seafood is okay. Is that right?
Yeah, I did read that one, Diz. It says, this is actually straight off the PIRSA website, it says, and I think there's been a bit of a push because same as people have been put off fishing, people have been put off eating seafood, which is, I suppose, understandable, but it's sad as well because there's all this great seafood getting wasted, oysters and all sorts of fish and the like. But PIRSA have said seafood such as fish, crabs, prawns and lobsters caught live are safe to eat provided they are properly cleaned and the viscera digestive tracts are removed prior to cooking and eating. Seafood from retail outlets is safe to eat too, as rigorous testing is undertaken. SA Health does not recommend people eat fish or cockles found dead because of likely spoilage and decomposition. So that's an obvious one, but I think that's a good message, Diz, and don't get put off eating seafood.
Yep, no, very good. Love that, Rody. Thank you for the update. What else have we got ourselves in the news? We did see some distressing photos of a turtle washed up at Kingston Park.
Leatherback turtle, was it?
Yeah, there's been quite a few sort of...
Was that a leatherback that was at Black Point too, on Yorks?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so there's been a couple of them.
Been a couple. which is really really sad.
Diz, let's sort of keep moving. This is again a bit algae related. Unfortunately, the North Bank fishing competition's been cancelled.
Oh yeah, I know, that's disappointing. I'm sure very disappointing for Andrew Harris and the whole crew at North Bank and everybody that was planning to get away. It was it seemed to be such a huge success last year, but completely understand the reasons behind doing this, Rhodey, that's for sure. But still real shame nonetheless.
Certainly is, Diz, but they'll come back bigger and better. And they're also pushing people to head over to Victoria. And that'd actually be a really good trip to do the North Bank comp over there. So that is in Queenscliff on the 7th and 8th of November. So if you are a North Bank owner, that'd be a good one to get involved on. And it also says they're playing a North Bank factory open day later this year. So we might go and do a bit of window shopping, Diz.
Yeah, love that, mate. Good call. All right, Rhodey, what's the latest out of AFTA?
Lots of cool gear. We'll touch on a little bit of it later on. But that is, of course, the Australian Fishing Trade Association. Trade show, I think it is, Diz, or tackle show.
Yeah, I don't know. You're telling the story, mate.
I got the first bit right. I'm not quite sure what the final word in the statement is, but it's Australian Fishing Trade Association. It's their big show. All of the big brands are there showing off all their gear. As we said, we're getting jealous of all the social media clips that go up. A lot of the companies launched their new range of gear. We did get a bit of a look at some of the Shimano products that are coming out, and we can't wait to get our hands on some of them and share them with all you guys.
Yeah, good call, Rhodey. Absolutely love that. Now, these are ones that we don't necessarily like covering, but of course we do out of necessity to keep you up with the latest. The Christie's Beach boat the boat that was off O'Sullivan's Beach, I think, but it was on the Christie's Beach sort of reef or something that the boat capsized, didn't it, Rhodey?
I think it was 1 kilometre from the shore at Christie's. They must have launched at O'Sullivan's Beach and then headed to Christie's, I assume.
Yeah. Okay.
Diz, the boat capsized on Sunday at about 11 a.m. I think there was some I did read this. There was some surf lifesavers that were having a swim and all of a sudden got pulled into action, headed out there in their surf life-saving vessel, and I think they rescued 5 of them, and I think 2 were taken to hospital in a critical condition. So I'm not sure whether we've had an update on that, Diz.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either, mate. I know I did read in the article that they were there was at least a couple of them in a critical condition. None of them were wearing life jackets. It was reported at the time, but
they may not have had to, though.
They didn't have to.
A big enough boat, they wouldn't have had to.
That's
but
right.
I think they got a bit close to the reef. Is that what the story is?
I think that's what you can probably draw as a conclusion from it.
And the helicopter and all that, the police helicopter and all that were involved. So it sounds like it was a pretty big operation, and I think they did actually do CPR on one of them. So it's obviously pretty significant accident, and we do get a lot of this happen, particularly as the weather warms up sort of from here on, but it's a warning and a reminder to everyone about how careful you have to be out on the water.
Yeah, good call, Rhodey. And one little story we do want to end on before we wrap up this news segment is, of course, some of these regional towns, particularly those on the York Peninsula and others, are just really doing it tough from really low levels of tourism. And it's a reminder for all the listeners out there that these towns are still absolutely fantastic to visit. There's plenty of options to have a great time while you're there. Of course, you might usually be fishing, but there's plenty of other things to see and do in some of these towns while you're there exploring, and you might want to check out something different. So a bit of a shout out to get out there, get around the tackle industry, and just show your support where you can.
It is sad, Diz. This advertiser article has a quote from Sonia Fowles from the Ardrossan Caravan Park, said they have had over half of the people that have booked for the summer holiday period are wanting refunds. Jump on the gun a bit. Hopefully it's all good by summer. And still plenty to do over there. I'd still be going. It's still a great part of the world. We still need to support these areas, and we're going to touch on this a little bit further on in the fishing report, but some areas are coming good, and I think other areas will continue to improve. And Let's hope this algae can come good as quickly as it's gone bad.
Good call, Roddy. Love that. All right, mate. That's a juicy little news segment. So let's move on now to the tackle item of the week.
Now it's time for Rhodey and Diz to really show you what it means to have all the gear with a lot of idea as they review a tackle item of the week.
Rhodey, this week's tackle item of the week is going to be one that all the listeners out there will certainly know that they could do with it. And it's going to be one of those things, I think, if you've got a birthday coming up, if you've got something you want to write down on your wish list, or if you've been given a voucher to a tackle store or something, you're going to get down there and buy this one, aren't you?
You certainly are, Diz. It is, of course, the Shimano insulated cooler bag.
Oh, fantastic.
And we've had these cooler bags in the past, more for your bigger fish, your tuna, your kingfish, those sort of things.
Very versatile, this smaller one.
But this little 700 millimeter insulated cooler bag is going to be absolutely dynamite.
Yeah.
For your whiting, your squid, all that sort of stuff. It's 300 millimeter wide, 400 millimeter high, 700 long, so 70 centimeters in length.
Yeah.
And it's going to tuck away beautifully. It's nice and padded and insulated. And it's going to keep your fish in the best possible condition. It does have a fish measure on the front side. It's 60 centimetres long, the fish measure, so it won't quite get my PB whiting on there, but you'll go close.
Loose. It's also, as I said, it's versatile because if you wanted to throw some frothies in there, no problem.
No doubt about it, Diz.
No problem at all. If you wanted to pack a little day lunch, no problem at all.
You could pack your lunch and your beers and make sure you eat them before you catch your fish.
Now we're talking. Now we're really talking. So it's a fantastic piece of kit. It is certainly one that those boaties out there or people that just enjoy spending time in the great outdoors is really going to get a lot of value from. So get down to your tackle store and get around it.
And it's one of those things, there are some cheap and nasty ones, and we've all seen that bloke rock up on a fishing charter with one of those, is it Woolworths or one of those green sort of insulated bags that's got one tiny piece of foam and it keeps your beers cold and your fish cold for about 8 seconds. Yeah. This is packed with 15 millimeter thick foam insulation. It is fully waterproof and it effectively retains fluid, and it has ice longevity tested for over 72 hours. And that's, if you got that out of your Yeti, your hard fiberglass esky, you'd be like, yeah, look, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But
that's amazing for a soft bag.
Oh, of course it is. I mean, you got to tell those people that rock up with a Woolies insulated bag that's for getting the milk home. That's for getting the milk home, mate, on a mild spring evening.
No doubt about that, Disney. It's also got one of those little bungs to drain out the water. Oh, handy, I love that too.
Handy.
They've thought of everything.
Of course. All right, ready? That's a good one, mate. What do we got next?
All right, Dizzy, let's get the one of Port Lincoln's best fishermen, Jamie Crawford. Let's get him on the line.
Now it's time to get our guest on the line. We'll ask them the all-important 5 questions, then chat all things fishing in SA.
All right, Dizzy, we are very happy to be joined by another repeat guest, Jamie Crawford, all the way from over there in Port Lincoln. Jamie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Rhodey and Diz. Thanks for having me again.
Jamie, it's great to have you on the show. We love keeping up with all the fishing that you get up to, whether that's on your pages or within SA Angler or Shimano do a wonderful job sharing some epic catches and the gear that you use there. But, mate, we did the 5 questions with you last time. We won't run through those again, but maybe tell us some of your more notable catches of late.
All right. Notable catches, probably, the last few months has been a fair bit of focus on flathead. Love chasing our flathead in the shallows, so that kind of kicked off in kind of March. So March, April, May, fished really well for our flathead in the shallows here in Lincoln. So, yeah, fishing in the bay system, out in the national park and also around at Coffins. and up the western side of the peninsula as well. So, yeah, something I really enjoy doing. I do a fair bit of it by foot, so walking the beaches and, just casting into little pockets, as well as taking the boat out and sort of attacking that coastline from the boat. I finally got an electric on my boat, which has made fishing for the flatties so much better. I've been wanting an electric for quite a few years, so saved up and eventually put one on the front. So that's been awesome this year.
What electric did you go for, mate?
I went for a Minn Kota, a Riptide Tarova. Went 110 pound. So there's plenty of thrust. My boat's only it's 5.8 meters, 6 meters overall. The 110 offers plenty of grunt. Which is good. Have done a little bit of blue water fishing with it as well since having it on, and just great for being able to spot lock over the reefs. You find a ball of nannies and kind of position yourself above, and makes it so much easier than, as you guys probably know as well, without I'm not sure if you guys have an electric, but normally you line up the drift and lines down, and then you're dragging your baits or your lures through the nannies, and before you know it, you're at the end of the drift and you have to drive back around. So it's really cool to just be able to hover above them and drop baits and jigs, and it's cool. Also did a Murray trip. So every year we do a camping trip up the Murray. I take our boys. We've got a 17 and 19-year-old boys, and this is something we've been doing since they were young. Once a year we'll throw the swags on the boat and launch at a different place each year and just check out a different stretch of the Murray and sample the fishing and camping, and something we really enjoy doing.
Very good. We did see some of your photos of that trip, and that sounded epic. I want to go back and chat about a few of those different points you just covered then. Let's start with what you were just talking about, the freshwater fishing. With all the algae that's been going on, that's been a good alternative for many anglers, and it's been fishing really well. Did you have much success when you got up the river?
Yeah, we had a good few days. The water seemed clarity was really good. The visibility was great. We mixed it up and did a little bit of trolling, a bit of casting at bankside structure, and we still enjoy bouncing a few baits, bobbing a few baits in the snags for some goldens. All styles seem to be working pretty well for the time we're on the river. So we did get a couple of cod. Got one on the cast on a spinnerbait, which was very cool. He was about 80 centimetres, so that was pretty nice. And we did get another smaller cod as well, and the goldens were very cooperative. So I think we got about 35 goldens over the 3 days. Wow. So it was really good average sizes. So probably half of those fish were sort of in that 38 to 50 centimetre bracket. So most of them were quality fish. A lot of sort of low to mid 40s, and then a few up in the just nudging 50.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. And no doubt some good campfires at night and some of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Good campfires, good food. We one of our sons is into bird watching as well, enjoys taking photos of birds. So, we actually did whenever we go out in the Murray, we do a little bit of that. We try and spot birds and pull the boat over to the bank so you can go get some photos. And, at night we grabbed the torches and went for a bit of a wander down the bank and spotted an owl in one of the trees. So, all of that kind of stuff just adds to an adventure up the Murray.
And what stretch did you do this time? You said you sort of mix it up a bit.
Yeah, we do. So this time was Morgan, and then worked our way up to upstream, not as far as Waikery, but not too far off of that. So up to the lock. What would that be, lock 2 up there? Yeah. Upstream of Morgan. Yeah, so that is a nice stretch. We have done that stretch a couple of times, and we've probably found the fishing fairly consistent through that stretch. But last year we did a stretch from where do we launch? Customs House, and then we went through the border and fished up into the Victorian and New South Wales stretch of the river and some of the tributaries up there. The year before that we did a lower stretch, so we did Bow Hill and worked upstream from there. So just really enjoyed checking out different stretches of the Murray. Each different stretch of the Murray is a little bit different to the others, so it's just unique to be able to check that all out.
Beautiful. We've done that Customs House stretch a couple of times, and it's a beautiful stretch of water. It's really, really, you're out in the middle of nowhere, so it's a great spot to go, do a bit of fishing, and get out of reality. But
absolutely,
good fun to do. Now, I want to go back a step. You talked about the flathead, and I did see you did I think it might have been last year, you did an SA Angler article, and I've seen you on the Shimano page. You're just about the big flathead guru land-based here in South Australia. Tell us a bit about that. You're mostly targeting with soft plastics, is that right?
Yeah, mostly with soft plastics. I do chuck some hard bodies around occasionally, but 95% of the fishing is with soft plastics. They're just as far as the lure goes, they're just so ideally suited to chasing flathead. They always fish down in that bottom zone. You can vary your retrieve rate. It's easy to upsize the size of your plastic, and they're just such a versatile lure. Flatties love them. Fishing this year, I've been fishing the 110 mil Ridge Shads a fair bit. They've just got a really good action and a very slow sink rate. So even with I use a 1/8 of an ounce jig head. Even with a 1/8, there's enough buoyancy sort of in that lure to make it a really slow drop. And they've got a nice tail on them, which gives a fair bit of kick and action. And working those shallow sections, picking out little pockets of whether it's a little depression or whether there's some scattered reef, where the weed meets the sand or where the weed backs onto reef. It's lots of little areas where the flathead sort of sit in ambush and wait for food to pass. So it's really cool just working, whether you're walking or whether you're in a boat, but working those sections and casting little plastics, through little likely areas where they might be holding. And this year's been a really good season on the flathead. It's funny how the seasons can vary a little bit, but this year, for a quality of fish, this year's been up there with one of the better seasons we've seen for sure.
Beautiful, cool. Diz. We'll put the Squidgies Ridge Shad. We'll put them to the top of the shopping list, will we?
Oh, mate, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things. Just walking any beach and flicking lures around is always great fun. And we've got to have that on the list, Rhodey. That's for sure. Yeah,
grab a couple packs of them. They work exceptionally well. I mean, a lot of plastics do, but you tend to find a plastic that in your particular area that seems to work better than other plastics. And this has definitely been the go-to plastic this year with all the different styles we've been using.
Very good. Now, another style of fishing that we know you have a bit of success with, and you did write an SA Angler article, I think it was about a year ago, this one, gearing up for kingfish. So that time of year is fast approaching, and we're not very good at it. We're not very good at catching big ones. We can get a few littler ones, but we're not that good at the big ones. What would you say for a couple of blokes with a little bit of gear and not much idea?
Look, kingies are an awesome fish, but they're one of those frustrating fish that, we've had seasons where we've been frustrated as. They're not an easy fish, that's for sure. So don't feel discouraged if you have a few sessions and don't see a fish. That's quite normal. Live baiting is still kind of our go-to method. So we probably do a bit more live baiting than other styles. But we do a bit of jigging as well up the Gulf, and we do cast some topwater lures. And obviously, if you can get one on a topwater lure, that is kind of up there with the ultimate. But they don't come easy, that's for sure. We've had lots of quiet trips chasing them with surface lures. As you know, the fish will start to move up the Gulf, or up both Gulfs within the next couple of months, and we should start to see some more reliable reports. It's just about spending time in the water, and pretty well, spending that time looking for pods of fish, packs of fish, and having some live baits or lures ready to go. but yeah, you can have some days where the fish are prevalent. You're seeing fish. You're getting good baits or good lures in front of the fish, and they're not feeding. And then you just have this little. It's like a switch has been flicked, and they'll have a little bite window, and they'll turn it on. And then you might have done a couple of days on the water without any action, and then they'll just turn it on, and you'll have a couple of hours of a bite window, and they'll feed pretty aggressively, and then they'll go back to doing their normal frustrating looking at your baits and lures. Definitely time on the water. Yes, nothing beats that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of those things that we've often seen quite a few sort of photos of people doing well. One thing we do keep a close eye on, and we did want to touch on with you, mate, is the any of the reports that come through from the Game Fishing Club has always been one that's been exciting to see who's been doing well and etc. And I'm sure it's probably bittersweet that the sort of the end of the Game Fishing Club's coming around, but no doubt many years of good fun, and I'm sure that camaraderie between all the people within that club will continue for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. It does feel like a little bit of an end of an era, and definitely there's a bit of sadness to that, but there's enough sort of close friendships and camaraderie formed that we'll still be catching up as mates and fishing, and that'll definitely continue. But it's when you look at different clubs within the state, obviously there's still a couple of game fishing clubs that are going well and are strong with numbers, but like we used to have a Port Lincoln Anglers Club here in Lincoln as well, and I don't know if COVID was the catalyst for this, but it just seemed that numbers were dropping, or a lot harder to get volunteers on your committee bases, and it definitely has an impact. But it's been a fun journey on with the Adelaide Game Fishing Club, and met lots of great people, and lots of cool trips and club comps, and it's been a blast.
Very good. Well, well done on your contribution to helping to run the club. That's a big pat on the back. Now, another thing I did want to ask you about, another one of your SA Angler articles from last summer, and as we start to look forward to the warmer weather, you wrote about the inshore bronzies and targeting them. That's something we've sort of done a little bit, but it's more like you happen to catch one targeting something else, or you're beach fishing or whatever else. But really targeting them as a table fish and a sport fish is something you've had a lot of success with.
Yeah, it's definitely something I enjoy doing. I used to do a fair bit of it, and I'm sure there's a lot of fishers out there who'd resonate as well. You go through stages in fishing, and early on, you're just trying to catch anything that's kind of, that'll pull line, pull string. So we'll go through that bronzy or that shark fishing phase, and then it kind of fades away. But when our boys were kind of hitting their teenage years, we started doing a few sessions, and I'd forgotten how much fun it was. It was awesome. So we got right back into it, and spent plenty of days on the water, floating baits out for bronzies, and mainly targeting that, the table fish sort of size that you mentioned, 3, 4, 5 footers. They're the sharks that are fun on lighter tackle and can manage easily, and you don't feel bad for taking one home for the table. But we fish sort of around the Coffin Bay area, and also in the bay here in Lincoln. But Coffin's is pretty reliable, especially when you get out past Long Nose, and you've got the areas of Farm Beach up to Frenchman's and out towards Sir Isaac's as well. There's a lot of shallower areas where you get bronze whalers pushing in during the warmer months of the year. So we do a fair bit of fishing for them pretty well from Christmas time through until end of March. We'll anchor up, get a little bit of a burley slick happening, or a little bit of tuna oil out the back, and float a couple of balloons out the back with little bait. So whether they're offcuts of tuna or some slimy mackerel, or anything that has a bit of oil in it, tend to work well. And it's good fun.
Very good. You're right. It's good fun, and it's good eating, as you mentioned. And I think it's actually underrated eating. I love eating flake, and it's good. You only need to take home one sort of fish in that sort of size bracket you talked about. That 3 or 4 foot's probably prime, and it fills the freezer, doesn't it?
It does. And if you look after them right, if you dispatch the shark, if you bleed them, clean them straight away and get them on ice. They're beautiful eating and perfect for the family. If you've got kids, you can pretty well serve them a boneless, skinless fillet of fish, and it's pretty mild. And it's great. And when the snapper ban in, it almost all those shark species gave an alternate option, sort of away from snapper, and you can target gummy shark or school shark or bronzies, and they're all really nice on the table.
Good call. Now, Jamie, we have made a pretty conscious effort not to try and talk too much about the algal bloom on the podcast, because we appreciate how much negativity is going around, and particularly areas like Port Lincoln and other towns that really have a strong reliance on either tourism or fishing as a sector more broadly have really been affected. I'm sure that you've seen that firsthand. And is there anything that sort of comes to mind that has struck you as, being able to, or sort of seeing the impact firsthand at what this algal bloom is doing?
Yeah, it's been pretty devastating, as you know, and I think it's just the fact that it's lingered so long and had such a far-reaching effect along our coastline. It's rocked a lot of people, and it's been really hard for a lot of businesses, especially York Peninsula and around Adelaide and Southern Fleurieu. And I suppose we've felt very fortunate that it hadn't pushed over to Port Lincoln, but now over the last couple of weeks, there's been some signs and some testing that the bloom has pushed closer to our coastline, and that there are low traces of the algal cell counts at the moment. So we're just really hoping that the conditions don't allow it to bloom up and create some of the havoc that has been seen on other coastlines. So small traces of it for us at the moment, but hasn't been enough to cause any real concern or drama at the moment. So there's been a small number of fish and cuttlefish washing up, but not many at all. We haven't seen any of the foam along our coastline, that discoloured water and the frothing foam. We were hopeful, that it's not going to impact us as much, because obviously you look at Port Lincoln and you see the industry, aquaculture industry with mussels and oyster farms nearby to Port Lincoln, and then we've got finfish farming with kingfish and tuna. So there's a lot of industry in the bay and up the coastline. So it would be devastating if it did move in.
It certainly would. Well, fingers crossed it doesn't. But you did just mention, the tuna and the kingfish and things like that. You may or may not know, but we mentioned this on the last podcast, that we sort of wonder whether those pens can be taken out to clearer waters if the algae does hit. Do you know anything about that?
So definitely, if that company has a lease site already approved by PIRSA, they would be able to move sea pens and fallow them into a different ground, but they can't just pick an area and willy-nilly move pens. It's very regulated, and if they've got the lease zone, then they will be able to move pens and into clearer water.
Do you know if many of them do have those lease zones in clearer water, potentially?
Most of them would have pens on a percentage of their water, and they would have a bit of scope to be able to move the pens to a degree, but some of them might only be able to move the pens for, say, 500 metres, and that might be the outer extremity or the outer boundary of their lease zone. For companies that farm kingfish, they've got multiple lease zones, so they might have water within Boston Bay, nearby to Boston Island, northern part of the bay, and then around at Louth and Arno Bay. So, they may have the capacity to move pens into clearer water, but all of their lease zones are closer to shore than what the tuna zones are. So you would think that, the tuna industry would have access to clearer water, but luckily most of the tuna companies are at getting towards the end of harvest.
Yeah.
So most of them are finished. There's a couple of companies still harvesting at the moment, but I know they're harvesting pretty hard at the moment to get the fish out of the water in case that bloom does have an impact.
Yeah, very good. Well, fingers crossed that the kingfish, the tuna, and obviously the oysters at Coffin Bay are all good. So we'll keep a close eye on that one.
For sure.
Now, last one, Jamie, it would be remiss of us not to talk to someone from the Eyre Peninsula this time of year and not mention the big abundance of salmon that normally turn up on your beaches. I saw a nice little photo of you using a new Shimano X-Vance surf rod and catching some good-sized fish off the beach. I'm sure that's something you love to do. We certainly do. We don't do enough of it, but it's great fun when we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Love our winter run of salmon. Obviously, we get salmon outside of the winter months as well, but yeah, winter is the time of year we do see some cracking schools push into our southern coastline. And yeah, the fishing's been good, but this year we've had a lot of swell, so we had heavy seas, and that does definitely make it a bit harder for spotting the schools of salmon along the coastline. So we've done a couple of trips this year where we've seen schools, but they've been out too far because of the swell's been a little bit too big. But we have had a couple of days where we've rocked up down on the south coast, and there's been some schools, 2 or 3 schools stacked in nice and close. So yeah, it's awesome. I still get a buzz out of running down the beach, flicking a lure at a school of salmon. I love it. And we found one school of salmon. This is probably a month ago, down on the south coast of Sleaford Bay, so the south coast of the Port Lincoln National Park. And we found the school, so ran down, flicked some lures in, had my 2 daughters with me as well, because we've got 4 kids. And yeah, they were really good sized fish. So daughter pulled a 78 centimetre fish, so over 5 kilos, and there was plenty of fish in the 3.5 to 4.5 kilo range. So yeah, quality fish, good fun in the surf for sure.
Geez, that has definitely made us very jealous of some of the fishing. And in fact, all of those stories, I'd say, Rhodey, has made us very jealous of all the fishing you've been up to.
Not a bad place to live, Port Lincoln, is it, on the fishing front?
It's not bad.
You've nailed it. And, mate, it has been great to have you back on the show. Thank you very much for giving up some of your time. Like you said, I hope that the Algal Bloom doesn't have an impact. We've visited Port Lincoln and we love it every time. We know how much of an impact that would have, but it's been great to have you on and hear about all the fishing you've been up to, and thanks again for joining us.
No worries at all, guys. Thanks heaps for the invite, and it was great to chat to you again.
Very good. Thanks, Jamie.
No worries. Thanks a lot. Catch ya.
All right, Dizzy, that was great to chat with Jamie over there from Port Lincoln. Pretty much all of it made me jealous, and maybe we should move over to Lincoln.
Not your worst shout, mate. He clearly really has the knack, and it's one of those things, you're always impressed with people that, you know, you might see someone there like, geez, they just never really miss on the squid, or geez, they never miss on while they're out like whiting fishing, but Jamie seems to do it all.
Oh, he does. Freshwater, sharks, kingies, flathead,
he can do
salmon.
The whole bloody lot. So, brilliant stuff having Jamie back on. That was really great to hear. Rhodey, let's get into this fishing report.
Rhodey and Diz have been out on the water to bring you the news about where they're biting. Now it's time for the fishing report.
So the first report here, Rhodey, comes in, I think, after you did put up a post saying that you just emptied the freezer and had no more whiting, and was sort of looking for some encouragement from those who might have done well recently out fishing. And the Port Hughes Fishing Charter, guys, they basically said, look, come up here. This is where they're at. We got 60 in 10 minutes, guys.
Oh, it was nuts, wasn't it? A couple of people actually commented Port Hughes, Port Vic. Sounds like that side of the York Peninsula is the place to be. But that video, I did comment, they need less people fishing and more people unhooking.
Yeah.
Because it was a 2-man job unhooking all those double headers and fish coming over the side. So if you do need to scratch that itch of getting out fishing, Port Hughes Fishing Charters would be probably the place to go.
They were obviously in an absolute frenzy.
They were, and Wallaroo firing too. So that whole stretch of water is going well at the moment, Diz. That's probably the pick of them at the moment for the whiting.
Good call. Now, the other thing that we shared was the brim in the Port River that looked a bit crook.
Yeah, that one did look a bit crook, but I've been hearing lots of reports of brim in the Port River despite the algae. So, some areas it seems to have shut down the fishing. The Port River seems to be fishing pretty well.
Yeah. Good stuff, Rody. I'm also seeing plenty of reports of people doing well freshwater. We just had Jamie on. He said on his trip up the Murray that he did well on a reliable bit of the Murray River as he described it. And, of course, this is some things that people are turning their attention to where their local might not be fishing as well because of the bloom or whatever. So get down to your tackle store, chat to the team there at Sport Fishing Scene and others that will really point you in the right direction for all of your freshwater species and ways to get onto some of them because they'll pull some string. It's always a great opportunity to get out and enjoy the outdoors. You might have a little campfire. You might, do a few bits and pieces.
And if you do want to do that, Dizzy, I'd be hustling because the cod season closes, I think, on the 31st. And I know the Lower Murray Lure Fishing Club, did I say that right?
Yeah.
I think they've got their cod closing weekend this weekend.
Good fun. Rody, I've had a few customers come in to tell us about that they've been doing reasonably well on salmon at Southport.
That's good. Well, you caught me mid sip there, Diz. I got caught out at exactly the wrong time, and you looked at me and you thought, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to say anything.
No, I think that part of the coastline there is fishing well. We've seen some reports, and we had somebody on who was sort of saying that the fish are turning back up down Wapinga Way and some of those sorts of things, which is a positive sign from what has been. So definitely get into the salmon.
So, Diz, a wrap-up of that fishing report is we've gone negative for however long, and the tide is turning. Things are coming good.
Yes, good call, mate. Absolutely love it. And that's just about brings us to a close of this episode of the podcast. Rody, where can the listeners find us?
It does, Dizzy. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you're flicking us through your photos on Facebook and Instagram. We love sharing your posts and your reels and whatever else. And even hit us up with a voice memo. Is it, Diz? Not a voicemail? Voice memo.
Well, a voicemail or a voice memo, we'd probably take either.
With my tech skills, we'll be able to get it working somehow.
Yeah, good call.
All right, thanks to Jamie for joining us, and thanks to you all for contributing to the podcast. We love it, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Rody and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.